If the devil can't get to you, he'll send a narcissist his proof. Narcissism, a spirit of self-centeredness in our world. We are constantly told that to succeed, you must put yourself first. The world preaches the mantra of self-love, self-empowerment, and self-fulfillment. It tells us that we should focus on our needs and desires above all else. And in many ways, this is important. Understanding your worth, setting goals, and chasing your dreams are all essential for growth. But there is a fine line between healthy self-assurance and destructive self-centeredness. Narcissism isn't just about arrogance. It's about the complete absence of empathy. Narcissists operate from a place of me first, everyone else second. They don't just prioritize themselves. They see themselves as superior, entitled to special treatment, and deserving of admiration at all costs. This isn't merely a personality flaw, it's a spiritual condition, a distorted worldview that places one's own needs above everything else. Think about the most narcissistic people you've encountered. At first, they appear confident, almost to the point of being charismatic. They might come across as someone who can accomplish anything, someone you want to follow or be around. But dig a little deeper and you begin to realize that their confidence isn't rooted in a healthy self-belief. It is based on the need to control, manipulate, and exploit others for their own gain. Narcissists believe that the world should revolve around them, that they should be adored, that everyone else should cater to their whims and desires. This mindset doesn't just affect their interactions with others, it consumes them. Their reality is not one of cooperation or mutual respect. Instead, it's a world where everything and everyone exists for the purpose of satisfying their needs. And when those needs aren't met, their world crumbles. This self-centeredness manifests itself as anger, resentment, or even depression when things don't go as they desire. They lash out because their expectations of being treated as special are not met. This isn't a small problem, it's a soul issue, a breakdown in how they see themselves in relation to others and the world. Now you might ask, why does this matter? Narcissism isn't just a destructive force for the individual exhibiting it, it spreads. It impacts everyone around them. When you engage with a narcissist, you are constantly forced to adjust to their needs, their desires, and their moods. There is no room for your own thoughts, feelings, or ambitions. Over time, their manipulation chips away at your self-esteem and your sense of identity. You begin to question your worth, your value, and your role in the relationship. You may start feeling less like yourself, more like a puppet on a string. It's in this way that narcissism becomes a tool in the enemy's hands. The narcissist creates an environment of constant tension and emotional chaos. You are pulled in by their charms, seduced by their promises, and slowly stripped of your sense of self. And all the while they remain untouched by the emotional damage they cause. They simply move on to the next person or the next situation, always seeking new sources of admiration and validation, feeding their insatiable ego. In many cases, people with narcissistic tendencies never see themselves as the problem. They believe their behavior is justified, that they are owed the attention and respect they demand. Narcissism at its core is about entitlement. The belief that they are special, deserving of privileges and above reproach. This self-centered worldview leaves no room for the empathy or compassion that builds healthy relationships. It leaves no space for the authentic connection that we all crave. Instead, it fosters isolation and emotional exploitation. But there is something deeply insidious about narcissism. It's often hard to identify, especially in the early stages of a relationship. Narcissists are not necessarily evil, they are just deeply wounded. They don't always recognize the damage they cause because they are so consumed with their own pain, their own fears, and their own need for control. They present a version of themselves that is often too good to be true, almost perfect in their appearance and behavior. But as time goes on, the mask begins to slip. They will engage in what's called love bombing, overwhelming you with praise, gifts, and affection, making you feel special. They'll tell you how lucky they are to have you in their life, how they've never met anyone like you before, and how they can't imagine life without you. At first, it feels magical, like you finally found someone who understands you, who sees your worth. But this is just the beginning. After the initial phase of adoration, when they've won your trust and affection, the narcissist begins to show their true colors. The praise turns into criticism, the affection into indifference, and the connection into control. They begin to manipulate you emotionally, pulling you in with kindness, then pushing you away with coldness. The relationship becomes a constant cycle of highs and lows, leaving you confused, anxious, and desperate for their approval. This emotional instability is intentional. The narcissist thrives on your emotional chaos because it fuels their own sense of power. The most dangerous part of this is the slow erosion of your identity. At first, you might feel that the relationship is about you, your growth, your happiness, your success. But the longer you stay in this toxic dynamic, the more you begin to lose sight of who you are. You start to define your worth through the lens of the narcissist's approval. You question your own feelings, and you doubt your own experiences because they are always trying to convince you that you are wrong. Their version of reality becomes the only one you can see. The more they take from you, the less you have left to give. You feel drained, empty, and unsure of yourself. This is the power of narcissism. It doesn't come with loud, violent confrontation. It's subtle, insidious, and quiet. But make no mistake, it is just as damaging as any outward attack. The narcissist doesn't want to destroy you physically. They want to destroy your spirit, your self-worth, and your purpose. This is how the enemy operates through narcissism. He seeks to infiltrate your life by sending someone who will constantly feed off your energy, your love, and your strength until you are left depleted. By attacking your sense of self and causing confusion in your mind, the narcissist can keep you from walking in your true calling, your God-given destiny. And that's where the danger lies, how the narcissist disguises themselves. A mask of charm. One of the most dangerous aspects of dealing with a narcissist is that they are not obvious. They do not walk into a room wearing a sign that says, "I'm here to manipulate you." Instead, they wear the mask of charm. They know exactly how to present themselves in a way that draws people in, that makes others feel special, valued, and understood. They may even appear to be the most compassionate person in the room, the one who listens, the one who offers support, the one who makes you feel like you are their number one priority. But this charm is not an expression of genuine love or care. It is a carefully calculated tactic. Narcissists know that the fastest way to get what they want is to make you believe that they are the answer to all of your needs. They will flatter you, shower you with praise, and act as if they are the only person who truly understands you. You might feel an immediate connection, even an emotional bond, because they seem so perfect. They are skilled in reflecting your own desires and emotions back to you, making you feel seen, heard, and important. But the truth is, this is not about you at all. It's all about them. The narcissist's charm is a tool used to establish control. They present themselves as someone you can trust, someone who seems like they would never hurt you, someone who's always there to help. But they don't actually want to help you, they want to use you. They know that if they can make you feel dependent on them, if they can make you feel as if you owe them your attention, affection, or validation, then they have power over you. It's easy to get caught up in the illusion. Think back to a time when you met someone who seemed to have all the right words. They may have praised you, shared their deep thoughts with you, and made you feel like they were the perfect match or a life-changing friend. At first, you didn't question it. Why would you? It felt so good to be acknowledged, so wonderful to be seen. Narcissists understand that human nature craves recognition. They know how to play on that desire, feeding it with compliments, gestures, and attention. But it's all a show. The more you react positively to their advances, the more they get what they want. Eventually, the cracks begin to show. At first, it's subtle, a slight shift in their behavior, a sharp comment disguised as a joke, a demand that they be your priority over others. The initial charm fades, and in its place, you start noticing something else: control. They start making you feel guilty for doing things without them. They may manipulate situations to make you feel like you owe them your loyalty. The feedback they give you is no longer positive. It's critical and judgmental, all while disguised as concern. You might feel like you're walking on eggshells, constantly worried about what they might say next or how they might react. Real life example: think of someone who seems to be your biggest supporter, always complimenting you on your achievements, telling you how proud they are of you. But when it comes time to acknowledge their own accomplishments or when they need help, suddenly you are expected to drop everything. You realize that their support was never about your growth. It was about keeping you around long enough to fulfill their own needs. Once they've successfully made you feel emotionally invested in them, they will use that connection to demand more than what you can give. They use your desire for love and acceptance as a tool to manipulate your actions. This is how the narcissist builds their empire. They gather people around them, people who admire and trust them, and then they leverage those relationships for personal gain. They do not value you for who you are. They value you for how you make them feel about themselves. When you validate them, when you give them the praise and admiration they crave, you are feeding their insatiable need for attention. In your eyes, they may appear as the most generous, considerate person. In their eyes, you are just another resource, something to be used and then discarded once it no longer serves them. The danger here is emotional dependency. Narcissists know how to create a deep emotional bond with you, one that can be hard to break once it's established. They confuse you by being both your biggest fan and your harshest critic. They can swing from making you feel like a king or queen one moment to leaving you feeling worthless and small the next. This emotional push and pull leaves you questioning yourself and your worth, unable to see the true nature of the person in front of you. You wonder, is it me? Did I do something wrong? Why does their love feel so conditional? But here's the truth. It's not about you at all. The narcissist is not capable of real love. They are only capable of using others to fulfill their own emotional emptiness. And they will do it through charm, manipulation, and deceit. You are not special to them. You are a tool. In this way, they prevent you from seeing the truth, that you are worthy of a relationship built on respect, honesty, and mutual care. The narcissist creates an illusion of a perfect relationship, but in reality, it's just a mask. Behind the charm lies a cold, calculating individual who will do whatever it takes to keep you close until the mask falls away and you realize that the relationship was never real to begin with. Their charm is a weapon, and once they have you in their grip, it becomes increasingly difficult to escape. The longer you remain in their world, the more you'll find your own sense of reality distorted. Your judgment becomes clouded and your self-worth eroded. That is the power of the narcissist mask. It tricks you into believing that something toxic is actually good for you. When you finally see through the illusion, it's often too late. The damage has already been done. When the narcissist finally sheds the mask of charm, the real nature of their character begins to reveal itself, and it's far from pretty. What initially seemed like a meaningful connection quickly becomes an emotional minefield. The narcissist is not a friend or lover. They are a user, someone who takes without giving, someone who drains you dry, leaving you feeling empty and exhausted. The truth is, narcissists don't care about people. They care about what people can do for them. Every relationship they form is you are valuable to them only as long as you provide something they need, whether that's admiration, attention, resources, or validation. If you stop feeding into their needs, or if you fail to meet their expectations, they will discard you without hesitation, often without a second thought. Imagine someone who for months fills your life with promises of loyalty and affection. They act like your greatest ally, encouraging you to chase your dreams, supporting you at every turn, but the moment you stop giving them the attention they crave or challenge them in any way, the shift is immediate. Suddenly they become critical, distant, or even downright hostile. They will start accusing you of being selfish or ungrateful, as if they were the ones sacrificing for you all along. In truth, the narcissist's kindness was never about you. It was a strategy to get you to invest emotionally in them. Once they have successfully formed a connection, they begin to exploit it. They take everything they can, your energy, your time, your resources, without ever considering how much they're depleting you in the process. Your well-being becomes secondary to their needs. They know how to make you feel guilty for not giving them what they want. They will use your love for them as a weapon, manipulating your emotions to serve their agenda. Take, for example, the friend or partner who always seems to need something. They are constantly in crisis, always sick, always struggling, always in need of your help or support. You might initially offer to help out of love or care, but what starts as an act of kindness quickly becomes a pattern. Every time you try to focus on your own life or take a step back, they will make you feel like you've abandoned them, guilt-tripping you into giving more. Before long, your kindness is no longer a choice. It becomes a requirement, and you feel trapped in their emotional chaos. The narcissist's true nature doesn't just involve taking, it also involves controlling. They understand that the more they can manipulate your emotions, the more power they have over you. They will play on your fears, your insecurities, and your vulnerabilities to keep you dependent on them. They may make you feel like no one else understands you the way they do, or that you'll never find someone who loves you as much as they do, but this is all a lie. The more you invest in them, the more you give, the more they take. You are never seen as an equal. You are a means to an end. What's worse is that narcissists can do all of this while pretending to be the most caring, generous, and supportive individual in the room. To the outside world, they are the picture of charm and kindness, but behind closed doors, they are cold, demanding, and emotionally exhausting. They are never satisfied with what you give them. There is always something more they want. And if you fail to meet their unending demands, they will punish you, either by withdrawing affection, by guilt-tripping, or by lashing out. Real-life example, think of the partner who starts a relationship by making you feel as though you are the most important person in their life. They lavish you with attention and affection, but over time you begin to notice that they are always needing something from you. Whether it's your time, your money, or your emotional support, they always demand more. You feel like you're constantly giving but never receiving in return. And when you speak up, when you try to assert your own needs, they turn on you, making you feel like you are the selfish one. You might even feel like you're the problem, like you're too needy or demanding, even though you're only asking for a fraction of what you've been giving them. This is the essence of exploitation. The worst part is the emotional depletion that comes from these relationships. Narcissists are emotional black holes, constantly pulling in everything you have to offer without ever giving anything back. They drain you, and as they do, they make you feel responsible for their well-being. They make you feel like it's your job to fix their problems, to ease their pain, to validate their existence. But they will never be satisfied with your efforts, because their need for validation is bottomless. You can give them everything you have, your time, your love, your attention, but it will never be enough. You will always be left feeling inadequate, like you are failing them, even though they are the ones taking from you. This constant state of depletion is what makes narcissistic relationships so damaging. Over time, you begin to lose sight of your own identity. You stop prioritizing your own needs and begin to live for the narcissist, trying to maintain the illusion of a perfect relationship. Your energy, your passion, and your dreams become secondary to their wants. You start to feel like you are giving up pieces of yourself just to keep them happy, but no matter how much you sacrifice, it is never enough. You are stuck in a cycle of giving and receiving nothing in return until eventually you have nothing left to give. Narcissists are exhausting. They drain you emotionally, mentally, and even physically. And they don't just do it out of malice. They do it because it's how they survive. They need your energy to feel alive, to feel important. You are not a partner to them, you are a resource. And once you are depleted, they will move on to someone else, leaving you behind with nothing but the remnants of what you once were. In the end, the narcissist's true nature isn't just about being self-centered, it's about exploiting and depleting others until there's nothing left to take. One of the most insidious and harmful tactics a narcissist uses to maintain control over their victims is gaslighting. This psychological manipulation technique is designed to distort your perception of reality, making you question your own thoughts, memories, and even your sanity. The narcissist wants you to feel unsure of yourself and your reality so they can have the upper hand in the relationship. It's a form of emotional abuse that gradually breaks down your confidence and leaves you vulnerable to their manipulation. Gaslighting doesn't happen overnight. At first, it might seem like small, inconsequential things. The narcissist might deny something they've said or done, even when you clearly remember it. They'll make you doubt yourself with statements like, "That's not how it happened," or "You're just being paranoid." Over time, these repeated denials begin to erode your sense of truth. You start to believe that maybe you are overreacting, maybe you did misinterpret the situation. They will even twist your words, making you feel as though you're the one who's causing problems, when in reality they are the ones disrupting the peace. This manipulation is often done in the guise of concern or care. The narcissist will play the role of the victim, saying things like, "I only said that because I care about you," or "I'm just trying to help you see things more clearly." They will act like the one who is trying to protect you, even as they destroy your ability to trust your own instincts. Slowly but surely, the narcissist is undermining your sense of reality, and you are left feeling confused, anxious, and unsure about what's really happening. The goal of gaslighting is control. The narcissist doesn't want you to have a clear understanding of who they are or how they treat you. They want you to constantly doubt yourself so they can maintain power in the relationship. If you're always questioning your own perceptions, it becomes easier for the narcissist to manipulate you, to make you believe that their version of events is the only one that matters. You become emotionally dependent on them to define reality, and the more you rely on them, the less you trust yourself. Imagine a situation where the narcissist repeatedly accuses you of being too sensitive when you express hurt or frustration over their actions. They might downplay your feelings, saying things like, "You're making a big deal out of nothing," or "You're just looking for a reason to be upset." At first, you may stand firm in your emotions, but the constant barrage of invalidation wears you down. You start questioning whether you are in fact being too emotional, too dramatic, too sensitive. Over time, you may even stop sharing your feelings with them altogether because you're no longer sure if your emotions are valid. As this pattern continues, you begin to lose sight of what is real. You no longer trust your own memory, your own feelings, or your instincts. The narcissist convinces you that everything you've experienced is either an exaggeration or a misunderstanding. And as your sense of reality becomes more and more distorted, they can manipulate you even more easily. This emotional confusion can be devastating. Gaslighting takes a toll on your self-esteem and sense of self-worth. You begin to feel like you are always wrong, like you're constantly at fault for problems you never caused. You might even find yourself apologizing for things you never did simply because the narcissist made you believe you were in the wrong. Over time, this constant self-doubt makes you more dependent on the narcissist for reassurance. You no longer trust your own thoughts, and so you seek validation from them, allowing them to control your perception of the world around you. In many ways, gaslighting is like living in a house built on sand. Every time you question the narcissist's behavior or try to stand up for yourself, they chip away at your foundation, making you doubt your reality until there's nothing solid left to stand on. And the worst part is that it's hard to recognize in the moment. Gaslighting isn't about overt cruelty. It's about subtle, insidious manipulation. It's about making you question what's true, forcing you to rely on the narcissist's version of events instead of trusting your own. It's especially difficult to fight back against gaslighting because narcissists are experts at portraying themselves as caring and loving individuals. They will often play the role of the martyr, suggesting that they are the ones being mistreated and you are the one who's always in the wrong. They will guilt trip you into believing that their behavior is a reaction to your actions, making you feel like you are the problem. Real life example. You might find yourself in a relationship where the narcissist continually belittles your achievements or dismisses your feelings. When you finally express your frustration, they deny everything, claiming that they never said or did the things you're accusing them of. They might even accuse you of making up stories or exaggerating. As this happens repeatedly, you start to doubt your own memory. The gaslighting leaves you feeling like you are walking through life with foggy glasses. Unable to see the truth clearly, you begin to feel crazy for standing up for yourself when in fact it is the narcissist who is distorting the reality around you. The longer this goes on, the more it becomes clear that the narcissist is not interested in an honest reciprocal relationship. They are only interested in creating a reality where they are always right, always in control, and you are left questioning everything around you. It's a toxic game of power and manipulation, and the stakes are your peace of mind, your sense of self, and your emotional stability. Gaslighting is a destructive weapon because it doesn't just manipulate your actions, it manipulates your sense of identity. Over time, you may feel like you're losing yourself completely. The narcissist has rewritten your reality and you are left scrambling to understand who you are and what is truly happening in your life. At the core of every narcissist lies an insatiable hunger for validation. They are always seeking attention, admiration, and praise to feed their fragile ego. Their self-worth is not intrinsic. It is entirely dependent on how others perceive them. They thrive on external affirmation, and without it, they feel empty, inadequate, and powerless. This constant need for validation drives their behavior in every relationship, making it nearly impossible to satisfy them. No matter how much you give, it is never enough. This hunger for validation isn't a passing phase or a minor personality trait. It's the very foundation of the narcissist's existence. They crave attention, not because they love themselves, but because they don't truly believe they are worthy of love. The narcissist's inflated self-esteem is a facade, a fragile armor meant to cover the deep insecurities and fears that lurk underneath. They may appear confident, even arrogant on the surface, but underneath it all, they are terrified of being exposed as flawed or unworthy. This fear drives them to seek constant praise and adoration from others, as if validation from the outside world can fill the void inside. Think of the narcissist you've encountered, the one who never seems to tire of hearing how great they are, the one who always needs to be the center of attention. They might monopolize conversations, constantly talking about their achievements, their successes, or their experiences, always looking for praise and acknowledgement. If you try to share something about yourself, they quickly redirect the conversation back to themselves because their need for external validation is far more important than any recognition you might need. Their constant pursuit of admiration is exhausting. They will do anything to remain the focus of attention. If it means telling exaggerated stories, downplaying the accomplishments of others, or creating drama to keep themselves in the spotlight, they will do it without hesitation. Their identity is built on the perception that they are special, unique, or superior. And they will do whatever it takes to ensure that others see them this way. They need to feel validated because deep down, they fear that without constant praise, they will be exposed as ordinary or unworthy. This validation-seeking behavior isn't just superficial. It is often deeply manipulative. The narcissist is not simply looking for compliments. They are looking for a constant, steady stream of affirmation that reaffirms their sense of superiority. When they don't get the attention they crave, they react with anger, frustration, or even withdrawal. They might sulk, play the victim, or start a fight in an effort to get the focus back on them. If you don't validate them in the way they expect, they will make you feel guilty, as though you failed them in some profound way. They will turn the tables, accusing you of not supporting them, of not caring enough. Consider a scenario in which the narcissist constantly expects praise for the smallest things. Maybe they've done something basic, like made dinner or finished a task, and expect you to celebrate their efforts as though they've accomplished something extraordinary. When you don't react in the way they expect, they will become angry or frustrated, sometimes accusing you of being ungrateful or dismissive. Their self-worth is so tightly linked to how others perceive them that any perceived slight can feel like a devastating blow. The cycle doesn't end with praise. Criticism is unbearable for a narcissist. Even constructive feedback or minor corrections can send them into a rage. They are incapable of accepting any form of negative evaluation because it directly threatens their inflated sense of self. When confronted with criticism, they may attack your character, deflect blame, or simply refuse to acknowledge the issue. They can't bear the thought that they might be imperfect, so they lash out to protect their fragile ego. This creates a toxic dynamic in relationships where you are constantly walking on eggshells, afraid to say anything that might upset them. Every interaction becomes a balancing act, trying to avoid criticism while constantly feeding their need for praise. Real life example. Think of a colleague or friend who constantly boasts about their accomplishments and makes sure that everyone knows how successful they are. When someone else receives recognition, they either downplay it or make it about themselves. They might say things like, "Oh, that's nice, but I did something even better last week." No matter how many times they talk about their own successes, they always need more. They are never content with what they've achieved because the validation they receive is never enough to fill the emptiness inside. If you fail to give them the admiration they crave, they will use guilt, shame, or even passive aggression to draw attention back to themselves. This constant need for external validation creates an environment where true connection is impossible. A narcissist is incapable of forming authentic relationships because they are more focused on how others see them than on genuinely understanding others. They view relationships as a means to bolster their image, not as a space for mutual support and growth. If you try to assert your own needs or ask for something in return, they will deflect, redirecting the conversation back to themselves. They will make you feel like you are the one who's selfish for asking for anything at all. What makes this even more challenging is that narcissists often disguise their need for validation under the guise of confidence. They may present themselves as self-assured, capable, and independent, but the truth is that their confidence is built on a fragile foundation. It is an act. Beneath the bravado, they are terrified of being seen as weak or vulnerable. They are so dependent on the admiration of others that they are willing to manipulate, lie, or exaggerate in order to receive it. This false image they create is a mask, one that they hide behind to protect themselves from the reality of their insecurities. You might find yourself constantly giving to the narcissist in your life, offering compliments, affirmations, or emotional support because they've conditioned you to do so. But no matter how much you give, you will never receive the validation, respect, or care you deserve. The narcissist is only interested in what you can give them, not in building a genuine reciprocal relationship. The more you feed their ego, the more they will demand, leaving you feeling drained, frustrated, and unappreciated. This cycle of endless validation seeking doesn't just wear you out, it also prevents you from experiencing true love, respect, and connection. You are caught in a game where the narcissist's needs come first and your own needs are pushed aside. You give and they take, and it never ends. One of the most confusing and emotionally damaging tactics employed by narcissists is the cycle of love bombing and devaluation. This is a pattern that plays on your emotions and creates a toxic roller coaster of highs and lows. When you first meet a narcissist, they will shower you with attention, affection, and praise, making you feel as if you are the most important person in the world. This phase is known as love bombing, and it's a technique designed to pull you in and make you emotionally invested. In the love bombing stage, the narcissist is not giving you love because they care about you or genuinely want a connection. They are giving you just enough attention and affection to make you feel special, but it is all part of the game. The narcissist wants you to be hooked emotionally. They may shower you with compliments, buy you gifts, write you poems, or spend hours on the phone with you, convincing you that you've found the perfect partner or friend. You feel as though you've met someone who sees you for who you truly are, someone who understands your needs and desires better than anyone ever has. This love bombing phase feels exhilarating. It's intoxicating. You feel valued, seen, and appreciated. In many ways, it can feel like a dream come true because you are finally getting the emotional support and attention you've always craved. But this initial stage is not about genuine affection. It is about hooking you in. The narcissist knows that if they can make you fall for them, they can use you to fulfill their own emotional needs and desires. Once they have you emotionally invested, the narcissist begins the next phase, devaluation. After filling your life with affection, they start to gradually withdraw their love and attention. They will criticize you, belittle you, and make you feel unimportant. Suddenly, you aren't the center of their world anymore. The kind words and compliments that once flowed so freely are replaced with cutting remarks and coldness. The sudden shift can be devastating. You may feel like you've done something wrong, that you've somehow lost their affection. You search for the reason behind the change, wondering if it was something you said or did. But this devaluation is not about you. It's about the narcissist's need to control and manipulate you. The narcissist thrives on power, and they know that by pulling away emotionally, they can destabilize you and create a sense of longing and desperation. They want you to feel insecure, to feel like you're not good enough, so that you will work harder to win back their affection. They want to keep you in a state of emotional confusion, always striving to regain the love and attention they once gave you, never realizing that it was never real to begin with. This devaluation can take many forms. They might ignore you, criticize your appearance, undermine your achievements, or belittle your feelings. When you try to express your hurt, they will likely turn it around on you, accusing you of being too sensitive or needy. If you challenge their behavior, they will gaslight you, convincing you that you are the problem. This psychological manipulation creates a toxic cycle where you are constantly doubting your own worth and trying to gain back the affection that is being withheld from you. Real life example. Imagine being in a relationship where your partner was initially overly attentive, making you feel like the most special person in the world. They would text you constantly, show up with flowers, and spend hours talking to you, telling you how lucky they were to have you. But then, over time, you notice that they are no longer as affectionate. They seem disinterested, distracted, or critical. When you bring it up, they tell you that you're imagining things or being too emotional. You find yourself constantly trying to earn their affection again, replaying every conversation in your head to see where you went wrong, desperately trying to recapture the closeness you once had. The narcissist knows exactly how to push and pull in a way that keeps you hooked. By alternating between intense love and harsh devaluation, they create an emotional dependency. You start to feel like you need their validation, their approval, and their love in order to feel good about yourself. The love bombing phase feels so good that you're willing to tolerate the abuse of devaluation just to experience that brief sense of being valued again. The cycle repeats itself over and over again, leaving you emotionally drained and confused. This cycle is dangerous because it creates a deep emotional attachment based on inconsistency. You never know where you stand with the narcissist. One moment, you're on top of the world, and the next, you feel worthless and insignificant. This unpredictability keeps you constantly chasing after their approval, unable to break free from the cycle. As the cycle progresses, the narcissist may begin to discard you altogether, especially if they have drained everything they need from you. Once they feel that you no longer serve their purpose, once you are no longer providing the emotional fuel they need, they may suddenly cut you off or push you away. The discard phase is brutal, leaving you feeling abandoned and rejected. You are left wondering what went wrong, why they've suddenly lost interest, and why the person who once showered you with love is now cold and distant. The narcissist cycle of love bombing and devaluation is a form of emotional manipulation that destabilizes your sense of self and self-worth. It keeps you trapped in a cycle of emotional highs and lows, creating confusion and insecurity that leaves you constantly trying to regain the love and affection that is always out of reach. The more you chase it, the more power they have over you. The more you invest, the more they take. And by the time they've discarded you, you are left feeling utterly broken, unable to understand how someone you trusted could turn on you so quickly and without remorse. The journey through a relationship with a narcissist is one fraught with confusion, pain, and emotional turmoil. From the moment they begin their subtle manipulations to the final discard, their tactics are designed to keep you trapped in a cycle of self-doubt, emotional depletion, and dependence. Narcissists prey on the vulnerable parts of our hearts and minds. Our desires to be loved, appreciated, and seen for who we truly are. They use love bombing to lure us in, devaluation to break us down, and gaslighting to make us question our own reality. Through it all, they seek to control, exploit, and feed off our emotional energy, leaving us wondering if we will ever be enough. But here's the truth. You are enough. You are enough. You are worthy of real, unconditional love. You deserve respect, kindness, and emotional security. The narcissist world is built on illusions, a house of cards that crumbles under the weight of honesty and self-awareness. They may try to convince you that you are the problem, that you are too sensitive, too emotional, too demanding, but that is not your reality. Their abuse is not your fault. You are not responsible for their actions or their manipulation. The first step toward breaking free is recognizing the tactics at play, the love bombing, the devaluation, the gaslighting, the constant need for validation. Once you see these patterns for what they are, you can start to regain control over your own life and your own mind. You can reclaim your sense of self-worth and refuse to accept anything less than healthy, fulfilling relationships. You do not need their validation to know your value. Your worth comes from within, not from anyone else's approval or acknowledgement. Breaking free from a narcissist can be difficult, but it is not impossible. It requires strength, resilience, and the courage to let go of someone who never truly cared for you in the way you deserve. It means trusting yourself again, despite the doubt they have instilled in you. You are worthy of love that uplifts, not love that tears you down. You are worthy of relationships that are built on mutual respect, honesty, and emotional reciprocity, not manipulation, control, and deceit. Remember, the narcissist's power lies in your confusion, in your self-doubt, in your emotional exhaustion. Once you see their tactics for what they are, their control over you diminishes. You will begin to rebuild your life, reclaim your peace of mind, and restore your inner strength. You are not broken. You are simply in need of healing. And healing begins with letting go of what no longer serves you. Stand strong. Your worth is not determined by how others see you, but by how you see yourself.